Um, well, I was playing hockey and doing many different sports that I enjoy, and then it came to a stage where I just went out for a jog one day, and my knee started to, or after the jog, my knee blew up and continued to do so when I was doing any kind of form of exercise. It wasn't necessarily painful, but it was, the swelling made it painful, because obviously sitting down and bending the knee was not ideal. So I went to see a couple of specialists, and a couple of arthroscopies followed that, where they went in, had a look around, and eventually, when neither of those worked, I then came in to see Mr. Gibb, and he suggested this osteotomy because the cartilage in my knee was only worn away in a certain area, not across the whole knee joint. And so he explained how everything would work, and that I was a candidate for it because this leg, the bones were slightly out of alignment, which was why it was causing the friction in a certain place and the wearing away of the cartilage. So yeah, I was very grateful of the opportunity, and came in. I believe I saw him probably in about the October time, and then I came in to have it done in the March. It wasn't necessarily pain, but as I say, it was the swelling of the knee. So going skiing, it was during the course of the week, it would begin to swell and then get more and more swollen as the week went on. So trying to sit on a chairlift became very difficult because it wouldn't actually bend. I was having to stick my leg out to the side as I got on the chairlift, and so it wasn't ideal at all. And in terms of hockey, it was painful to run, so I had to stop playing, which was the part that was really grieving me, I suppose. Yeah, not necessarily sharp pains or anything like that. Just a discomfort, and certainly, as I say, the swelling was annoying. Not at all. No. I mean, I was obviously shocked that there was anything wrong in the first place, really, because I'd always been very fit and healthy, and played hockey for many years. So yeah, I really I was astonished that they could do something like this, and obviously it was slightly nerve-wracking to think of the actual operation and this foreign piece of metal that was going to be in my leg, and so yeah, it was quite a scary thing to think of.
Who do you think of?
No, I mean, I had nobody to go to that I knew had it done. There was the various. I mean, obviously, I Googled it and looked up anything I could. With the knowledge I have now of having it done, there was a lack of information about what was going to happen when you woke up. You know, what was actually going to happen after the operation? What sort of state were you going to be in? How much pain were you going to be in? Was it just going to be heavily bandaged? Was it going to be, I mean, it sounds daft now, but you know, I didn't know whether it was going to be plastered, or no idea how it was going to. I mean, obviously I would ask Mr. Gibb when I came to see him, but there's only so many questions that you can ask, and they perhaps seemed a little bit stupid at the time, so I perhaps didn't ask all of the things that I wanted to know. So yeah, it was. There wasn't much out there. That was for sure. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. For the first, I think I was in hospital for 2 nights, and obviously everything had to be done with the help of the nurse to start with. It was massively heavily bandaged, so you couldn't bend the leg at all. But they were very keen to get you out of bed to use the bathroom, and the physio came the next day, and she had me up on the crutches and wanted to show me how to get up and down the stairs, obviously in preparation of going home. The risk of thrombosis, I believe, is very high, so certainly I was wearing the white stockings to the knee for the first 6 weeks, which it causes quite a lot of discomfort, because they're actually quite hot and tight, and obviously if you go back to work, then you've got to consider that with what you're wearing for the office. Probably not so bad for a man, but for a woman, these white socks are not particularly attractive. Also, for the first, while I was in hospital, they have these pressure pumps that they put on your feet, which help the flow of blood. Again, it's all to do with the thrombosis, and those are actually quite noisy and quite strange to get used to, because they pump air and kind of there's a pressure on the balls of the arch of your feet. I have no idea. But they just go whoosh, and it's a rush of air, and they pump up and put pressure on your foot. And I guess it's because you're lying down, they want to make sure the blood is flowing as it should do. So they were certainly on for the first day and night. And then, as I say, once I went home, I believe the large bandage came off after a couple of days, which was great. And then it was just, getting used to the crutches for quite a few weeks, obviously not able to drive. So you do have to take these things into consideration before you embark on it. I had the operation on the Friday, was in hospital, as I say. I think I came out on the Sunday. And then the following week I was just at home, but I did go back to work on the Thursday, because I have a very sedentary job. I'm just sitting in front of a computer most of the day, and it was getting rather tedious being at home, so I wanted to just get on, and luckily a work colleague lives just up the road, so she was picking me up and dropping me off every day. So that was good, because it then took my mind off of the tedious nature of the crutches and not being too mobile. There was certainly a lot of bruising around the area. There was swelling, numbness, which actually is still there now, which is quite strange after whatever it is, 2 years. But apparently that's normal. I don't remember too much. Gosh, I should have remembered all of this, shouldn't I? Oh, it wasn't inconvenient, no. Yeah, very quickly. I seem to remember they were recommending maybe, a couple of weeks, but I think that would perhaps be if you were in a job where you were having to move around and so forth, which I wasn't. So, but I was, more than happy to get to work. And obviously it was made easier because of the transportation. I didn't have to worry about buses or trains or anything, or driving. Oh, pretty quick. Yeah, I mean, I went on hockey tour 3.5 months after the operation, which was, so I was playing, albeit not up to full speed, but I mean, I was, and I'd been going to my regular classes, Pilates, body balance, all of the ones that I had been doing. I was getting back to those pretty quickly, probably. I would say, well, probably the moment I was off the crutches, I was going down to the gym and doing what I could. I remember after about 7 days, I guess, I came back here to have the staples out. That was probably the most painful part of the whole thing. It was, they really stung, but but yeah, I mean, I was amazed at how quickly I got back to normal, really, and was able to do quite a lot. You have to, during the first few weeks, you have to gradually put more weight on the leg. So when I left here, I'm just trying to remember, but I seem to remember being told to use something like 10 or 20% weight bearing on the leg, and they showed me how to kind of gauge that. And then to up that every week for a period of time until I was actually totally weight bearing on the leg, and then obviously the crutches could then be discarded. I guess that must have been at six weeks. And yeah, then the recovery was, as I say, pretty quick. Certainly went skiing. Went on hockey tour in the June, and then the following January I was skiing, and I was just delighted because it was. I mean, that was my main worry, that it would the same problem would happen, that it would be swelling up again, and it was absolutely brilliant. It was fine. At that stage, I still had the plate in there, so it was probably stronger than it would ever have been. So in terms of the actual leg, I never worried about that at all. It was the knee, obviously, that I was concerned would, maybe the cartilage would wear again. But it didn't, and skiing was absolutely fine. I mean, I'm a sort of I would say an average intermediate skier. I always tend to kind of like to go for it in terms of trying to keep up with various children as they've grown up. But yeah, I mean, I like a challenge, and I was playing hockey during that season. I'd been training started training in the August with the team, and then I was playing regularly that season. And then when the season finished in the May, I came back to have the plate removed. So that was all done last May 2015. Yeah, so. I had no idea it was coming back out. I remember coming in to see Paul to be kind of signed off, really, and he said, "Well, of course, you know it's all coming out, don't you?" What? No, I didn't realise. I thought that was in for good. But I mean, I was actually quite pleased because I could really feel it. I could feel every single screw and the actual plate. I could feel exactly where it was, and that was, I suppose, that was the worry with hockey, that if somebody smacked me around the leg with a hockey stick or a ball, it would kind of quite easily split, I would imagine, and this metal would be sort of poking out of my leg, which wouldn't be probably not ideal. So yes, I mean, that was one thing. I had no idea that it was all going to come out. So I was quite surprised when he said, right, after a year, anytime you want to come back, and we'll take it out for you. So I came back in the May last year, and again, similar sort of, I guess it was probably probably 3 or 4 hours in total from coming in to being back in bed, and they go in down the same scar, so they just opened the same wound, and yeah, incredible really that that it was so easy. Very quick, because there's nothing alien in there anymore. It's just really the skin to heal. So it's just literally the scar. Again, staples which came out. They weren't so painful that time. Yeah, and then I guess there was just a sort of a white sticky plaster over it for a short length of time. But I mean, in terms of the strength of the leg and my fitness, there was that hadn't deteriorated, because I'd been playing right up until the time I went in. And then, yeah, it's just as if you'd had a nasty cut somewhere. How long would that take to recover, really? Same thing, it's just the skin healing, and then back to how you were, really. So I didn't lose any fitness or anything through that. I would say the operation was in the March, wasn't it? And as I said, I was going back. I started training. Training always starts in August for the following season. So whatever that would be, April, May, June, July, August. Yeah, so I would say five months till I was back to running around, and then probably a month after that to be back to full fitness. I was seeing, I had been recommended to have some physio, because obviously because the angle of my leg was changed. It meant that my gait would be slightly different. So I went to see a physio, and she worked a lot on the muscles around the knee, just making sure they were doing their job. And also I went to see a podiatrist about having insoles, again, to kind of compensate for the change of the angle. So, yeah. I don't think anybody else would notice because it was very slight. No, I mean, as I say, I notice it, and if you looked very carefully, perhaps you would see also. But no, I mean, nothing that you would be embarrassed about or concerned about, certainly. Oh, no, not at all. No, not at all. I was just so euphoric that I was actually lucky enough to be back doing what I wanted to do, and hopefully for the next few years at least, prolong everything. No, not at all. No, it's for sure, yeah. Yes, I would. Yes, if I was told that it would be worth it in terms of getting a few more years. Obviously not otherwise, but yeah, if I was going to get 3, 4 or 5 years more of decent activity, then I would. Yes, yeah. Well, I mean, Paul did a good job of explaining that part of it beforehand, and if somebody says you're going to be on crutches for 6 weeks, then you have it's easy to formulate an image of what that's going to be like. Oh yes,
what to expect.
Definitely by Paul, well informed. Yes, I think. I mean, there are I had never been on crutches before, so yes, that was a shock, because carrying something. If you're going from the kitchen to go and sit down and eat your meal, if you're on your own, how do you actually get your plate? So you have to. Well, yeah, you just have to. You have to have meals in Tupperware boxes and put them in a bag and carry the bag over your shoulder to the table, and yeah, I mean, you get clever about it, but it is quite a shock to start with if you're on your own. That sort of practicality, as I say, and crutches, obviously they're pretty painful on your hands, so it's worth getting those special gel grips to put on them, because they don't seem to have those for some reason. Yeah, I mean, as I say, perhaps I was really lucky that it all went really according to plan. I didn't get any infections. I didn't, I didn't fall over and have to come back and have it redone. I mean, it all just went to the book. So, and yeah, I mean, I don't know what other surgeons are like, but I certainly Paul explained the driving and the crutches and so forth. As I say, I didn't. The only thing he hadn't explained was the plate coming out, but that in the end was fine. I was just a bit shocked when he told me, because I thought, oh no, another operation, crutches, etc. But it wasn't like that at all. So, yeah.